Hello guys, welcome back to another video, and well, it seems that we have the alignment of figures we're going to be getting for Wave 2 of the Jurassic World Survival line. If you've already seen the Jurassic World Survival line so far, frankly it sucks. Honestly, a majority of the figures are absolute garbage, and then there's a few that are okay, and even then they're not the best. And so far, it's just been a major disappointment. We basically have what all the figures are. We actually basically already have all the figures revealed for Wave 1. We just don't know what the wild drawers look like yet. We just don't have images of them yet. But apparently, we actually have a list of basically the Frenzy Packs and the Strike Attacks plus one other figure for Wave 2. So yeah, that should be really interesting. And yeah, apparently these have been revealed. I would want to mention, take these with a grain of salt, since again, credit to this person for actually figuring out what these are. Don't know how they figured it out, so again, that's why I do want to say take this with a grain of salt, since again, things could change, or this could just be some misinformation or something. So again, just take this with a grain of salt. But apparently these are the figures we'll be getting for the next wave. So starting with the Frenzy Packs, we have Pachycephalosaurus, which likely will be getting a redesign. I also want to mention all the concepts in these videos are just concepts. These are not official images. I just made these for big visuals for the video. But yeah, the Pachycephalosaurus, again, kind of interesting. We haven't gotten a Pachycephalosaurus in ages, except for like Epic Evolution. But like, I think just a regular Pachycephalosaurus figure in like the regular like Frenzy Pack / Strike Attack size ranges, been forever. And again, this is a Frenzy Pack figure. I think this is one of our first Frenzy Pack Pachycephalosauruses, or at least in this size range. I feel like they're usually all Strike Attack kind of size range creatures. Well, I mean, I know they're basically the same size range, but like Strike Attack action feature, so yeah, it's been a good while. Kind of concerned / curious what they're going to do with Pachycephalosaurus. I just threw some quills on this design, since I feel like that's a reasonable enough assumption to throw onto a Pachycephalosaurus for some speculation. But knowing Mattel, they're probably going to make this thing covered in armor and give it giant spikes on the back of its head, just because apparently Stygimoloch doesn't exist, and also just making a regular Pachycephalosaurus isn't the thing they can do, but yeah. Next, apparently we're going to be getting a RHAMPHORHYNCHUS. I want to mention, apparently we're getting 2 Pterosaurs in this wave, which does make me a little bit skeptical, since we've never gotten 2 Pterosaurs at the same time, in the same size range, but hey, maybe. But yeah, RHAMPHORHYNCHUS, my concept, this is just, I just changed the colors of one of the older RHAMPHORHYNCHUS figures, and then just gave it some feathers on top of its head. Perhaps it won't even have that, it'll just be a re-release. I actually would be perfectly okay with this one just being a re-release of an older figure, frankly, because the older RHAMPHORHYNCHUS is just really nice. Just give it a good color scheme. Hopefully, it could be good. Like, honestly, so far we haven't had a bad Pterosaur, though we only had one Pterosaur revealed for this lineup so far, and it was good, so who knows. Well, yeah, this RHAMPHORHYNCHUS figure is definitely interesting. Then we have, okay, forgive me if I mispronounce this, but FERRODRACO, which is a Anhanguerid. We've gotten Ornithochirus in like Frenzy Pack, but like without teeth. We have still not gotten a Tropiognathus. Mattel, please just give us a wild raw Tropiognathus. Since they're doing so many Pterosaurs here, I wouldn't be mad if they threw a wild raw Tropiognathus into the wild raw size range. But yeah, Tropiognathus is one that's necessary, but FERRODRACO is apparently one we're getting. And I know we got like the Murodactylus, or maybe it wasn't Murodactylus. There's this other one from like Australia, I think it was. Pretty fragmentary. We got for Chaos Theory lineup. I personally thought that thing looked hideous. Then Ornithochirus is the only one I have, but it's missing its teeth, which is really weird. But yeah, FERRODRACO definitely could be an interesting one. Have no idea what this thing would look like, but perhaps they could have gone like really crazy with this design. I have no idea. I feel like I should have added some quills to the back of its head, but yeah. This one I'm a little bit concerned about, because honestly, the last one they did was extremely stylized and ugly, and this one could be even worse. Or maybe it'll be better, who knows. Next, we have a surprising, but I guess pleasant really addition, Champsosaurus. Champsosaurus, if you didn't know, is a croc-like animal. It's not an actual croc, or even a crocodilian, I don't think. Well, I'm pretty sure it's not a crocodilian. I don't know too much about Champsosaurus, but let me just go pop on over to Wikipedia real fast. Yeah, I don't think it's really even a really related to crocodilians too much, but it is like heavily resembling them. It's part of a group that's been around since the Cretaceous and went extinct in like the some point in the Paleogene. I don't know. So yeah, honestly, they survived for quite a long time, this group of animals. But yeah, Champsosaurus is just an interesting creature. I'm kind of surprised Mattel making this. Like, of all the things, like, we still don't have a Metriorhynchus figure, and there's a lot of other prehistoric crocs I feel like they could have done. But Champsosaurus? I mean, I'm not complaining. I love Champsosaurus. I mean, I love any obscure non-dinosaur creature. But yeah, kind of interesting that we're getting Champsosaurus. Another one I really hope they don't go super crazy with. I think this one might be able to pass and end up getting a good figure, because the only other like good figure we got in for the so far for this survival series is like that Vespersaurus or something like that from the other Frenzy Pack Wave 1, and that one is actually pretty simple with the stylization, so maybe just add a few simple spikes on this guy and it'll otherwise be a pretty faithful Champsosaurus adaptation. And honestly, really hope that this one comes out nice. So yeah. Anyways, another interesting one is its Dino reveal deluxe, Orkoraptor. If you don't know the Dino reveal, that's like the kind of color changing series that Mattel has been doing kind of more recently. And I was kind of wondering if they were going to do any larger ones, and I had a feeling that they were going to do a larger one at some point. And they're starting with Orkoraptor. Honestly, my opinion on this changes on, really depends on, like, for example, are they keeping the old sculpt? Most of the Dino reveal figures, actually none of the Dino reveal figures are new sculpts, they've all been re-releases, and if so, why did they not pick Megaraptor if they're going to do, because Megaraptor is the same size as Orkoraptor the figure, but it just looks so much better. Megaraptor is just a way better sculpt. And I would think it would have been just so much better to go with Megaraptor. That may be maybe from me speaking from someone that actually missed out on the Megaraptor figure. But still, the Megaraptor just looks so much better. The Orkoraptor looks really bad. But if they're giving it a redesign, then I can kind of actually agree with this one, since Orkoraptor's old design is pretty bad. Like, it has good elements. Like, the head looks good, the feathers look good. Just the feathers are on its stomach for some reason, and also the whole thing just looks obese in a way, I guess. I don't know. It just has really bad proportions. Like, some of the worst proportions ever seen on a Mattel figure. Bad proportions. So if those are fixed, then this could be a really good figure. Also, perhaps, if this ends up being larger than Wild Roar, then I'm going to be a little bit disappointed that it's not like a Mape or something. I feel like this would have been a perfect opportunity to throw Mape in. I also feel for Dino reveal, since they have things to do with water, it would have been a good opportunity to throw in either an aquatic creature or just a straight up throw in a Spinosaurus, like maybe Oshalaya. This could have been a good chance to introduce it, or Signomastosaurus, or even like a Pliosaurus or something. But yeah, this figure really is too vague. I really do hope that it gets a redesign, because if it's the old design, then I think this is going to be very disappointing. But if it's a redesign, please don't be absolutely hideous, Mattel. I'm begging you. But yeah. Usually I would not save the strike attacks to last, but oh my, the strike attacks, assuming these are real, which this strike attack assortment is really another thing that is getting me kind of skeptical, considering how the strike attacks, like, this seems almost too good to be true, what strike attacks we're getting. First, we're getting DROMAEOSAURUS, which is interesting. I actually made a concept for DROMAEOSAURUS a while ago, so I basically kind of recreated it, except way better this time. And yeah, honestly, I hope that this guy's feathered. Like, this is like because we don't have any good small feathered small feathered DROMAEOSAURUS yet. We have a big one, which is Utahraptor, absolutely perfection. But if this DROMAEOSAURUS is done well, assuming they don't do absolutely insane stuff like they've been doing with all these other figures, this DROMAEOSAURUS could be really good. And yeah, also, they didn't go with Deinonychus, which I find kind of interesting. So yeah, because Deinonychus not only does it mean a literal terrible claw, but also Deinonychus is like a really... It's like getting redesigned in Jurassic World Evolution, and also Deinonychus is just like a heavily desired species. I kind of feel like there's a lot of species. I'm going to talk about this at the end, but some species I feel like I'm kind of surprised they have not included. But yeah, DROMAEOSAURUS, just a very surprising one. And I mean, I'm not complaining if it looks good, which again, kind of skeptical since this is the Jurassic World Survival line where pretty much everything looks like garbage. But DROMAEOSAURUS could definitely be a really good one. Next we have SCUTTOSAURUS. Honestly, SCUTTOSAURUS. I mean, if new SCUTTOSAURUS, if it's a new sculpt and it looks good, then I'm automatically getting it, even though I have the old SCUTTOSAURUS. Heck, if it's the old SCUTTOSAURUS, as long as it's a nice paint scheme, I'll probably end up getting it just because I really love SCUTTOSAURUS. But yeah, this is another interesting one. One thing I am worried about is that, remember that thing that everyone's been thinking is either like a Plateosaurus or some sort of sauropodomorph, or a Orlichosaurus or some sort of Therizinosaur? One thing I noticed from that image that no one's really talking about is how it seems like that thing's arm is really close to its head. You can just barely see like some other part of its body, which is probably like its arm or something. Which I thought it could possibly also be like a Lotosaurus or even a scrapped version of Dimetrodon. But what if it's the SCUTTOSAURUS figure? If it is the SCUTTOSAURUS figure, then oh my, that thing's going to be... it's going to be really hideous. It's not as much of a loss since we already have SCUTTOSAURUS figures in the past, but they finally released a second SCUTTOSAURUS that, again, the SCUTTOSAURUSes, they just never made super available. The first SCUTTOSAURUS that released is like super rare and barely got a release, so you can barely get a hold of it. And then the second one released in a $30 set. I got the one in the $30 set. That's the only reason I bought that set, because SCUTTOSAURUS was in there. And if they're releasing another one and it looks terrible and this is the only readily available one, that's going to be a little bit disappointing in my opinion. So yeah. But I do hope that this one has a good sculpt. Next, we have POSTOSUCHUS, a creature that has been needing a re-release probably more than any other. Not only is it probably one of the more popular ones that basically got cut, but also just super rare. One of the rarest Mattel figures. Honestly, I would be perfectly happy if they just reuse the old design, but if they redesign it, please, Mattel, you cannot mess this one up. This is POSTOSUCHUS. Honestly, I'd rather you just give us the old sculpt than to really just gamble for Mattel possibly doing a good one, but realistically probably not going to end up being a good one. Again, I'm just really worried for this figure, but I'm really hoping that at the very least, POSTOSUCHUS can be good. Again, this is another thing. I think the last creature almost makes me feel like this is too good to be true, but Dunkleosteus. freaking Dunkleosteus. If you've seen literally any of my videos talking about the toy line, you know that I've been just basically begging Mattel for a Dunkleosteus figure. And if this is true, this is finally like one of the last few Rebirth species that really need a figure. In my opinion, this is the creature for Rebirth that needed a figure the most. And if it's true, we're getting a Strike Attack Dunkleosteus. It's also nice, that interesting, something that I did kind of think that they could possibly do a Strike Attack Dunkleosteus, considering how in the movie we only get to see its head, and then in real life Dunkleosteus recently got shrunk to be, well, much smaller, to the point in which it probably fit in the Strike Attack size range. Most concepts I did, I threw it into the Wild Raw, but honestly, hey, I'm not complaining. As long as the Dunkleosteus looks good, Mattel, please don't mess this one up. In fact, Dunkleosteus, I'd argue it's really hard to mess up, though, considering how Mattel has been recently doing pretty good bodies. I mean, been doing pretty good heads, but the body just comes out really bad. I'm really concerned. Come on, Mattel, this is a fish. Just give it a regular fish body. It's that simple. Please just give us a fish. The head is easy. It's literally in the movie. Dunkleosteus, all its fossils are literally just what its head looks like. It's that easy. Just don't mess up Dunk. Please, Mattel. I'm begging. Again, honestly, this is probably one of my most anticipated figures, assuming this is true. But, yeah, that's apparently Wave 2. Again, take this with a grain of salt, because I cannot confirm these for sure. But assuming they are true, then we're getting some interesting species, and maybe Mattel can save. We also don't have the second wave of Gigantic Thrashers kind of revealed. I'm really hoping for, probably the most for Pliosaurus. I know we're getting a Pliosaur already, but honestly, seeing how we got multiple Pterosaurs and stuff, I don't see why we couldn't maybe get another one. Really hoping Pliosaurus. There's a good chance if we do get another marine reptile, it would probably be like a Plesiosaur, like an Elasmosaur. Maybe like Albertonectes or Futabasaurus could be really fun. Again, assuming it's not done horribly, or Bisonectes, which if you didn't know is like a deep sea plesiosaur. I think that could be a really cool one. Honestly, they could go with the deep sea vibe again, except not completely butcher it like they did on Plesiosaurus. So, yeah. Some other creatures, again, Pliosaurus would be cool. Stomatosuchus could be pretty cool. Dinosuchus even, because a lot of people are wanting that, including me. Though, again, assuming they don't mess it up, because, again, Mattel has been really messing with this line. I'm hoping maybe Wave 1 is mutants and Wave 2 is more accurate stuff. I feel like that could work much better. Honestly, I think that could possibly redeem the line somewhat if they just decide to do it like that. I mean, Gorgosaurus is definitely a loss, but outside of that, I'd say still very disappointing. But maybe forgivable for Mattel. It's still probably not the best way they could have done this line, but hey, better than nothing. Then, again, another species that I feel like could be really cool, like Dacentrurus, a pretty large stegosaur would be pretty cool. It's also really spiky. So, again, they wouldn't even need to exaggerate Dacentrurus. It's literally already a very long, spiky dinosaur, really cool looking. Mape, of course. I mean, large Megaraptorans are awesome. Of course, Arostion could also be pretty cool, but Mape specifically, I love that thing. One of my favorite dinosaurs. Would be cool to see. Pycnonemosaurus, a very large Velosaur. We got Carnotaurus, so perhaps we could get a Pycnonemosaurus. And honestly, I could probably be here all day listing species. Again, also, I'm really surprised we haven't gotten a lot of the species that are being revealed for Jurassic World Evolution 2. Honestly, if anything, I feel like a Jurassic World Survival line, I was kind of expecting it to have a lot of the same species. For example, a Wild Raw Loki Ceratops, since considering how popular that is and how it's a more recent species. Felt like a Feathered Ornithomimid could have been pretty cool. I'm kind of surprised we didn't get that. We almost did, but we didn't. And then we also have like other things like Psittacosaurus could have been a really good Frenzy Pack figure, or even in a small 2-pack could have been cool. Perhaps even, let's see what else. Dromaeosaurus is getting a redesign, so I feel like that, I mean, not Dromaeosaurus, Deinonychus is getting a redesign, so kind of surprised we didn't get Deinonychus instead of Dromaeosaurus, assuming these leaks are true. But, yeah. Again, just kind of surprised. A few other things, like Spicamelus. Like, Dacentrurus and Spicamelus are two creatures that, again, Mattel wants to do these crazy, stupidly exaggerated creatures, but why not just pick creatures that are naturally stupidly exaggerated, like Spicamelus easily being one of the most spiky, heavily armored animals. And I'm not gonna lie, I was under the impression for a while that Spicamelus was actually like Stegaro size, so I thought Frenzy Pack would be perfect for it. But honestly, more recently found out, but no, that thing's freaking massive. I could see it definitely arguably being pushed up to being a Wild Raw figure if they really wanted to. Though Strike Attack would still work for it. Spicamelus is just a really cool creature. Really should probably do it. And Dacentrurus, again, a really large stegosaur. I feel like things kind of change back and forth for Dacentrurus for either being the largest stegosaur or the second largest after Stegosaurus. Either way, it should be a gigantic Thrasher figure, so yeah. Again, what are your guys' thoughts on these, and what species do you think or want to see for the Wild Raw Gigantic Thrashers? I just really hope we get a good marine reptile and a good theropod. The first wave of Gigantic Thrashers, they usually do mess up somewhat, like Mapusaurus and Bahatasaurus were a little bit weird, especially Mapusaurus. Eotriceratops and Tyrannosaurus, I mean, not Tyrannosaurus, Eotriceratops and Tyrannotidon were really messed up. So perhaps, again, the second wave after those, we got, after the Mapusaurus and the Bahatosaurus, we got Suchomimus and Styxosaurus, which were pretty much perfect, and for the rebirth ones with the Tyrannotite and the Eotriceratops. Right after that, we got Chalontosaurus and Pterosaurs, some of the best figures. So perhaps the second wave can pull through, like, again, hopefully a marine reptile, so maybe like Pliosaurus. I honestly wouldn't be too terribly mad at a pterosaur like Haplogopterus, but yeah, definitely Pliosaurus is what I'm going for. And then maybe even like a really good theropod. I don't even know. Maybe give us Dyspletosaurus to make up for Gorgosaurus. I don't know. Again, I really don't know. Wild Roar is also kind of interesting to see what they're going to be. And I still want the first wave to be revealed sometime soon. Anyways, again, sorry I've been rambling so much. I at least tried to save it till the end. But what's your thoughts on these? I'm kind of skeptical of this because I feel like it's almost too good to be true. Like, we're getting re-releases of POSTOSUCHUS and SCUTTOSAURUS and Dunkleosteus all in the same size range. Yeah, that seems a little bit fishy in my opinion. But yeah, again, take this with a grain of salt. But perhaps, again, assuming that this person is right, this is what we're going to be getting for the next second wave of Jurassic World Survival Toys. And man, am I praying that these things actually look good, unlike the ones we're getting for Wave 1. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys in the next one. Goodbye!